It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Shannon Roberta San Antonio Salmon-Haas. Shannon, what's the mission for Talk Law Radio?
I'm going to try and do it without looking at it, to help you discover legal blind spots by listening to me talk about them on the radio, and possibly not with Todd, which would be scary.
Yeah. Well, I think that this show is going to air after the show when you actually are alone.
Right. Okay.
But God will be with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your positivity and your faith in me, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Really means-
I'm thrilled to have you here today, and as a gesture of friendship, I brought you a friendship rose.
Oh, thank you.
The yellow rose is the official rose of Texas, and it's also a symbol of friendship. So I brought that for you.
Wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That is beautiful. Thank you.
Mark, sorry I didn't bring you a rose. Well, I do want to say a prayer to start the show off. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to follow your will. Please help us do a good job talking about the law, revealing hidden legal issues today. Help us to do everything we do for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
God started, in the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws that impact you without you knowing it. And so the laws that I want to talk about today, Shannon, are the law of standing.
Okay.
That's a legal concept where people with standing have the right to bring a lawsuit. Also, report and pay your taxes. That should be a given, but there's somebody in the news that failed to pay his taxes.
Right.
And also defamation. You'll want to listen to the end of the show because there's a very famous person that filed a $100 million lawsuit against a TV channel. And so that's going to be really fun to talk about.
And you might have heard of this person.
Everybody probably has,
right.
Even people that
I've been promised a joke.
Yes.
There's a joke?
There is. What did Adam say to his wife on the day before Valentine's Day? Happy Valentine's Day, Eve.
That's what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be that because there's one for Christmas.
That's what made me remember it, because today's February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day.
Right.
So I was thinking about Valentine's Day, trying to figure out what I could do for my wife.
Yeah. Did you come up with some good ideas?
I did, and she declined all 3 of them. But we are going to do something.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go to the movies. Do you know what's good at the theater right now?
No, I don't know anything. The last thing my daughter wanted to see was Moana 2. But
okay.
We haven't seen it yet. Maybe you could give her a red rose wrapped in a tortilla.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
The listeners won't know what I mean if they haven't been watching Todd's Tacos.
Yeah, I have a new video series. I have 3 videos of me making tacos.
Right.
So if you can find me on Facebook, you're welcome to watch those as well.
I legit love them. I really do.
Great. The next one's going to be difficult. It's going to take me longer to prepare because I'm supposed to prepare my own seasoning or sauce or something. I can't remember.
Okay.
But I have all the ingredients. I just have to sit down and put it together.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that'll be fun.
I can't wait. I love seeing those.
Yeah, so we're going to start today with a court case. I call it the unions versus OPM.
Right.
But the headliner of the unions is American Federation of Government Employees, AFL-CIO. And it's a case against Office of Personnel Management.
Right. I saw that.
And it's about President Trump's desire to ask people to voluntarily leave their federal employment for 8 months, I guess, of pay. They can leave now and still get paid for another 8 months. And so the unions filed suit to stop that from going through.
You surprised me with your use of the word voluntary and ask, because everything I was reading made it seem more like an ultimatum. They're calling it, I mean, the memo was called Fork in the Road. You know,
Right.
it felt more like demanding of an answer. You know, you're leaving or you might not have a job.
Did you read it?
Which,
the memo?
I didn't read the memo.
Okay.
No, I haven't
or
read.
the email?
No, I haven't read the email.
Okay.
Have you heard, please, I didn't have time to verify if this was true or not, that there has been a second email
I haven't heard that.
where they said, go ahead and disregard the first email. My friend told me she heard that on the radio today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to double check that.
Right. Maybe if this gets posted, I can put it in the comments when I have a chance to fact check that.
Yeah, send me some information on that by emailing host@talklawradio, HOST@talklawradio.com. So let's go back to this case. The court signed the order just yesterday,
Yeah.
February 12th.
Yeah.
And so it's a case about standing because the court denied the plaintiff's petition based on standing, said they didn't have the right to bring this suit.
Right. And that really confused me. I read it twice and it really was bothering me because how could a union not have a vested interest in whether or not their members were going to still have a job? I kind of presumed that the union would have standing, but I spoke with several colleagues, you know, and they do a lot more employment law, and they were telling me that no, that is a very important issue. They would have to refile, and the union would need to get a plaintiff, an actual employee.
Right. But the court also said that the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978 was the exclusive procedure for disputes involving employees and their federal employers, and disputes between unions representing federal employees and the federal government.
Oh, okay. So what are they going to do with that then?
Well, the court said it didn't have jurisdiction to hear the case. And so the decision to stop President Trump from offering this fork in the road, that's gone. So the fork is back.
Right, yeah. Your thoughts on the memo?
Well, I didn't read the memo. I should have. I wanted to, but I was busy.
Well, but your thoughts on the idea that the executive branch can tell all these workers, hey, we're going to pay you.
I sent you the Twitter video
right.
of President Bill Clinton and President Barack Obama saying that they were going to cut the federal workforce.
Right. And yeah, I mean, reform, everybody's for reform, but it begs the question, if you don't agree with going 100 miles an hour down a freeway, you know, everyone agrees that's a silly idea, but you also don't want to maybe slam on the brakes on 281, you know.
Yeah.
There's just
a matter of degree, I guess.
Right. And then the question of whether or not there even exists the authority, because he's saying, I'm going to pay you for like 8 months, I think.
Right.
But the federal budget is there's only money apportioned until March.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know.
There's not some piggy bank that he can tap into
so
underneath the desk at the White House.
If you have answers to our questions, we're supposed to be giving them answers.
Well, these are actual real. No, this is an answer.
Okay.
Because this is pointing out a fact that it's not that simple. It doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. So I know maybe on paper it looks like this should be possible, but he's not the boss of these federal workers technically, and you can't make a contract where you don't have a way to fulfill that. So there's actually not kind of the same thing like an order. If you were to go to court and try and get a court order for something like illegal, like I'm going to sell 50 pounds of pot to you, you can't take that contract to the judge and say, look,
enforced,
right. So there just doesn't exist a mechanism for him to contractually say, I'm going to pay you till this date if the money isn't there and he actually doesn't have that authority.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
I wonder what'll happen. Well, I just have to keep you up to date. Is that enough talking about standing? How would you define standing to somebody who has no idea what you're talking about?
What a great question, because I've spent many hours of my precious, precious life with my limited time reading standing articles, CLEs, like all those little things you have to read to figure out, like, can I actually bring my case? Mm-hmm. You know, and so it's crucially important for an attorney because you have no case without standing, zero case.
Well, here's an example. This happened to me years ago. Somebody who brought a probate action. Well, in order to bring a probate action, you have to have standing. You have to have an interest in the case.
Any action, really. Can we say that? Any legal action, you'd have to have standing.
Well, this is just an example from my focus, my practice area. So this woman said that she was a daughter, and so she could open the probate because she's an heir, a child of the deceased person. Well, it turned out she wasn't a biological child. She just lived with this deceased person from when she was like a little girl.
Right, and considered her like
Considered
family.
her to be mom.
Wow.
But there wasn't a formal adoption.
Wow.
And so this was something that the probate code called adoption by estoppel.
Okay.
So if somebody says they're your mother and you rely on that, and you live with them your whole life,
wow,
then they're estopped from denying that.
That is amazing.
Parent.
Talk about a legal blind spot.
Right, but then I had to find evidence.
Right.
That those facts existed. That you relied on that, and that that the deceased person made assertions that said, I'm your mother and you're my daughter. Right.
The neighbors thought that this was mother and daughter. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you had to do all that research because I'm sure this wasn't the first time this had ever happened. So there was case law and you got all that research to prove all that up.
So that was, we had to prove she had standing.
Right.
And so it's not just when you're standing up.
Yeah.
It's when you have standing in court.
Yeah. Can you be here?
Yeah, do you have an interest to bring this lawsuit? Is it will you suffer damages if you don't?
Yeah, I think that's a good way. I hope it doesn't sound like mumbo jumbo to how people sometimes think lawyers find technicalities and we're too, focused in on little details. It feels like a good rule that you can't just have anyone marching into court and
complaining.
Right, like you want to have some connection to the case, or else everything would be way too litigious.
Right. It already is.
True. It's a very litigious world. Yeah.
Let's talk about taxes. There's a law that says you have to file your tax return, right?
Yeah.
You're probably thinking about taxes. I've been gathering up all kinds of 1099s for my accountant. You started that yet?
Right. I was thinking when you said, let's talk about taxes, I was thinking, how fun, said nobody ever.
Yeah.
But it's an important topic.
Not fun, but there was this lawyer, Tom Goldstein, who's being prosecuted for tax evasion.
Yeah, I saw that. And then I looked him up. I had not heard of him before. What an interesting person.
Yeah, he is a Supreme Court lawyer.
Yeah.
And he failed to declare millions of dollars in poker winnings.
Right.
And he used his law firm's money to pay gambling debt.
Right, yeah.
So maybe that's a question that people should ask their lawyer. Do you use law firm money to pay your gambling debts? Or do you gamble?
Yeah. That would not be your ideal lawyer.
I don't gamble, by the way. And he also failed to disclose 2 cryptocurrency wallets. And so the prosecutors wanted him to remain locked up pending his case. So, but the hidden legal issue blind spot is really not hidden. I think everybody knows that they should file a 1040 for their taxes, right? I mean, don't you just, once you're born, isn't that the first lesson that you learn before you learn how to walk, before you learn how to speak? Your parents are telling you, someday you're going to pay taxes. No?
I think yes. I have heard of a case where an immigrant alleged that they didn't know that, but I find it a little hard to believe because we're really inundated with, information that you have to file a tax return.
You have the Statue of Liberty standing on the sidewalk, waving the
sign.
Right.
Maybe I'm being too judgmental because maybe it was a rural community. There could be a lot of different factors.
I don't know. I had several older people telling me when I was a child that I was going to have to pay taxes.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of something we just always knew.
Or you learn when you first get your first paycheck. I mean, there's the gross amount that you make, and then there's these deductions.
Right.
And then, so you have to, at least you see it on your W-2. Why did somebody take these deductions?
Yeah.
A friend of mine owned a restaurant, and people would complain to him that he was stealing their money. And he said, "Oh, no, that's not me. That's the government."
Oh, okay. On the check when it would be deducted?
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did you hear of that lawyer before? How did you hear of him? I hadn't, and he seems very famous, but
I just saw it in the news.
Yeah. I hadn't seen that.
So this was reported by CNBC.
Yeah. He sounded like somewhat of a character, right?
Well, he's gambling. He's got cryptocurrency. That's all I know about him.
Yeah.
And maybe he writes a blog about Supreme Court cases.
And he worked for a very big firm.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, next. This is a case about defamation. That's when somebody says something bad about you. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, that's happened to me.
And did you file a lawsuit against them?
I did not. I responded with kindness.
Oh, well, that's very Shannon-like. Turn the other cheek.
Yeah, I definitely did.
That's awesome. Well, it's not awesome that somebody said bad things about you.
It can be an opportunity.
Really? Say more about that.
Well, if somebody was very angry and walking around with that anger, and if I can be helpful by, I don't mean to sound like a doormat, but if they blah, 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 blah at me and I can respond with kindness and it creates a positive wave and
hopefully.
Okay, rose-colored glasses off.
Yeah, usually when somebody's doing that, they can't be convinced otherwise.
Right.
So I read about this case from an article online by Forbes. It's Sean Diddy Combs. You know any of his songs?
I'm not familiar.
Can you rap one out right now?
I'm not aware of.
I don't remember any of his songs.
I don't know who you're talking.
He has a bad reputation right now, and that's what this lawsuit is about. There was a documentary made by NBC, Universal, Peacock, and Ample Entertainment, and about his bad reputation.
Right.
About, all the stuff that people say that he did. Accusations of sexual assault of minors, sex trafficking, and other claims. Allegedly.
Right.
I don't want any $100 million lawsuit against me.
Yeah. Yeah, he would have standing against you right now.
No, I said allegedly.
Okay.
Sorry, Mark. Lexi got away from me. Hopefully you can
She went to
keep
say
producing
hi.
the show. So I wanted to talk about defamation because it's a long word. And so in Texas, defamation is when someone makes a false statement about another person that harms their reputation. And the harm has to be a financial loss, I think, in order to have standing.
Yeah.
So the person has to publish this statement. And you can do that by telling people
Just saying it.
orally, or you can publish it online, Facebook, Twitter X, Instagram.
Would it be liable at that point if you write it down?
That's right, yes. Defamation is... Libel fits under defamation.
Yeah, okay, cool.
It's just a written form.
Cool.
So the statement has to be untrue. So if it's true, that's a defense.
Right.
So
yeah.
if somehow it's proven that Sean Diddy Combs did all these bad things, then he would lose his case.
Right. Yeah.
And
I wonder why he's choosing to focus on this. You would think he would have bigger problems to deal with right now.
Isn't he in prison, jail?
Oh, so you feel like he has a lot of time to...
Well, I don't know, maybe. I don't know how he could run his businesses well from the inside, but maybe he can.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten a call at your office of someone who wanted to sue for defamation?
Probably. I didn't take it. There's a lot of people out there complaining about things, and sometimes they call me.
Yeah, right. No, I wouldn't imagine you taking that, but I know that it's a call I've gotten.
I think that if all those facts happen and you have to actually file a lawsuit, I think that there could be a remedy there. I know an attorney that filed a lawsuit against somebody who wrote something online about him that was untrue, and he got paid by the homeowner's insurance of this person because it could be covered under the homeowner's insurance policy.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So I was going to say, the person that's allegedly creating these defamatory statements has to be either negligent or intentional about it.
Yeah.
So if it's negligence, then it would fall under probably homeowners. If it's intentional, it probably would not.
Oh, what a good point. Yeah.
Thank you for coming back, Lexi.
Yeah, thank you, Lexi.
Hopefully she didn't bother Mark too much over there.
Has anyone ever hurt your feelings online? Like any comments that were defamatory?
Yes, but I don't think that I was financially hurt.
Okay.
Just my ego.
That'd be the hard prong to prove up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we only have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted you to talk about where you went today.
Yeah. It's so big.
What is
Todd,
it?
I can't even find words.
Well, say where you went.
It's Town Twin Village, so they do the tiny homes for people that are unhoused, and it was an amazing experience. The tour is free to the public, so if anyone wanted to tour over there, they can have the same experience I did, and I'm just so overwhelmed. I was bawling, I was crying. I didn't think that it would be that emotional, but
wow.
They kind of, the part that really got me was when they showed me the actual little home,
mm-hmm.
and they opened up the door. They said, pause, stay right there. And they slowly open the door and they say, imagine you have been homeless for the last 20 years. You never know where you're going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be cold. You're going to be hungry. You might get woken up. Law enforcement, they're doing their job, but they have to be like, hey, move along, buddy. You know? And we open up the door and we say, come in, this is yours. And it's just so beautiful. Love just permeates every inch. St. Mark's Church, the ladies there, or it could be men, I suppose, they quilt. So every person gets a very, very special quilt that was made with love. And it's just beauty.
Okay, well, we got to end the show soon.
Bye.
But what about the movie?
Right.
What's it called? No Address?
Right. And so everyone's a little on edge with this federal funding, but they're very excited because they are going to get some funds from that. And the national premiere is the 28th, but they're getting a pre-screening 27th. So it's
February 27th.
Right.
Look it up.
Pretty big deal.
No Address.
Right.
We'll talk to you later.
I had fun, Todd.
Bye.
Bye.